He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
In the previous episode of Here Now, I spoke to Cambodia-born tattooist Bunthin, who's been exploring his Khmer roots through the art of inking.
It is the identity part of it. It's like, nothing is most grounding and cementing if knowing that you have something of your ancestors or what your ancestors might have wore. It's this empowerment in that.
From an opposite end of the world, Italy-born Francesca Contaldo has been on a similar journey in Auckland.
Being introduced to this world through the people that have done this practice for so long. So through my teacher, my teacher is a Tomoko artist. He used the traditional tools, and I never thought I had the privilege of learning from, such people. It's amazing. And it's the reason why I fall in love with tattooing is when I met him.
For both Bunthin and Francesca, it all started here in this tattoo studio, Uhi Tapu, run by Moko Smith.
What Moko does, he needs somebody that stretch the skin. And that's what my job and B job was.
B being Bunthin. This is Here Now, and I'm Kadambari Raghukumar.
I'd like firstly to acknowledge the Manua Whenua of Tamaki Makaurau. Tēnā koutou katoa. Yeah, my name is Francesca and I'm an Auckland-based artist. I moved to New Zealand about 6 years ago now.
Francesca had been living in London for 5 years, working in hospitality, when she met her Kiwi Samoan partner. They soon decided it was time to give New Zealand a go.
My partner had said, I really want you to meet my friends/family. And so it wasn't a tattoo convention. It was a little hand poke, hand tap, small little convention. I don't even remember what it was, but somewhere in the city. And got there, and I think I was in New Zealand for 2-3 weeks. I was really struggling on understanding even how people talk, because I had no idea the accent would be different. And I was like, oh my gosh, people are speaking English, but I can't understand them. I was like, wow, I don't know. I was so fascinated by it, because I saw another side of tattooing, which it was more of a ceremonial, ritualistic, spiritual aspect of it. And I felt very connected to it, and I was like, I wonder if there's any sort of that expression that happened in Europe or in Italy.
So with some encouragement from her family, she started on that journey.
My mother-in-law, she's like, look at the pottery, that's where the patterns come from. My partner is like, you need to find your own connection. And I was like, great. So we got into lockdown, and I spent my whole lockdown researching and trying to find something. And it took me 6 months to find something. But at the end, I come across this PhD document of this English woman, Camilla Norman, and she talks about the tribal tattooing of Daunian women. And I'm like, hang on a second, I know those people. Sounds familiar. Daunian is the name of basically my ancestors. It's a civilization that existed in Puglia, where I'm from, pre-Romans and pre-Greeks time, so about 3,000 years ago. And so I was like, wow.
Daunian women were known to have geometric designs inked on their hands, some patterns not dissimilar to the pottery motifs the sub-tribe were known for.
It just opened a whole new world for me, and I was like, wow, I never expected I would find something right at home, just exactly where I'm from.
For Francesca, learning of this personal connection signified something profound for her. Straight and long lines, triangles, and concentric squares were common across the Daunian aesthetic on terracotta and tattoos.
And so I thought that those patterns contained some very significant meaning as well. So there was a whole new symbology and patterns from the pottery. Yeah, that basically I could use as inspiration for my body markings. Also, I'll show you my forearms, because that's what I found, basically.
That's a very distinct pottery design.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, then, it's very Greek.
Correct.
But it's
Greek
throughout
or
the
Roman,
whole world.
both.
Yeah. I found my connection. I opened something much bigger than me that I never expected I was going to. Who is going to help me now? I was like, who's going to be my mentor? Who's going to teach me the way,
Enter Moko Smith, working out of Corbin Estate Arts Centre in Henderson in West Auckland.
I've asked him if he could do my tattoo because once I found that, I was like, okay, I guess I gotta initiate this by getting tattooed, those markings on me. And so I asked him if he could, and obviously he's like yes, and we met and we did the first arm. We just did one.
Moko's studio draws in people from all parts of the world, curious about the world of traditional Maori tattooing, the technique, history, the aesthetic, and the ethos.
So all of that kind of leaves this fascination in people that, they come to this place where it's really celebrated and integral part of our identity and culture, as opposed to something done out of counterculture or, rebellion against parents and kind of these more Western approaches to what have been Western approaches to tattooing.
Observing from the sidelines, Francesca was drawn in by Moko's mastery and began working as his apprentice.
I was like, well, come and help us with the stretching, which is an important part of my practice, as someone stretching the skin, and you'll learn a lot there. So we started with that. I don't teach them the hand tapping method, which is particular to Māori, Pacific, some parts of Asia. I've only been teaching them approaches to tattooing in general that then they can continue on in their own cultural ways if they want to. But I'd say the main element has been relationship. In Francesca's case, I met her through Salvador, her partner, whose mother I know, whose mother helped me learn under my teacher. So there's levels of community and relationship that make it easy to bring someone, or easier to bring someone into this world. Same with Bunton, who's Cambodian. He was my sister's partner, and he wanted to learn to tattoo.
I started to go to his studio much more often, and I would do some drawings and just being there around and learn also the health and safety aspect and the hygiene. But also what I loved about getting from Moko was understanding what tattoo is in sense of and the spiritual meaning of it.
And how did you connect with that?
It's beautiful. It's a big world. I'm still navigating that, because most of the patterns that I use and the meaning behind it, the spirituality, has changed and it's been lost because of Romans coming in, Greeks coming in, other empires coming in. Christianity is very strong where I'm from, so it's hard to navigate and it's harder to get it back. But through an indigenous lens, I could probably get closer to what was for my people. Yeah, I'm still figuring it out, but it's definitely, I'm drawn much more into that than in Western side or modern side of tattoo that you could get maybe in a tattoo shop or, yeah.
Ritual, respect, and rigor underline her own fascination with tattooing that she began to adopt into her growing practice.
When you get tattooed within the Maori culture, there's some sort of protocols you follow or and they're kind of feeding within the spirituality of it, because I love the way that there's prayer before and after the tattoo. I like to introduce that into my work. I feel like that's definitely something that happened also within my ancestor. And any sort of rituals, ceremony, you do have that practice going on. Also, my teacher and usually Maori Pacific people, they work on the floor with the mat. And that's also another thing that I keep, and that's how I learn. I learn to tattoo on the mat. and I feel very connected to it. So yeah.
We're all sat on mats on this elevated wooden platform. Moko is sat on the floor as well, setting up his tools for his next client visiting from Hawaii.
Not only is it curiosity, but it's also an investment in each other's health and cultural well-being. Yep. The other cousins in the Pacific have also gone through a similar process of losing the art form due to colonization and colonial approaches to our culture. We're in a phase where we are helping re-inspire each other and revive these art forms. And myself, our context is uhi. It was taught to me by my teacher Croc, who was taught by his teacher Inia, who was taught by the Samoan Tufunga Tātātau's Palo Suluape. And so Samoa has its place in helping us with our revival, specifically of the hand tools. And same with Hawaii. So we all share our knowledge to kind of help with the recovery of this practice. But that also extends into the other kind of surrounding art forms of oratory, of painting, of singing, of tapa making, all of these other elements that kind of have always coexisted with tattooing.
Francesca herself is slowly getting into exploring ceramics and pottery and sees all of these as connected to her own background from Puglia.
And what was it like for you to grow up in Italy?
Where I'm from, it's a very poor and kind of like countryside looking place. So
And where is this?
It's near Lecce, so it's the southeast part of Italy, the heel of the boot, that's what they call it. And where I'm from is a small town, not in the city, and is like maybe 17,000 inhabitants, so it's pretty small. Everybody knows each other. You don't get exposed to a lot of art, or art is not seen as an option of career, or it's more seen as a hobby, or you're a weirdo. Moving here and see that was an option, I was like, wow, that's amazing. I can do this.
But it's all taken a bit of convincing of her family.
Tattoo has always been seen as a kind of you get, there's a lot of stigma around that, So obviously my parents were like, oh, you're getting into tattooing. They never said it, but I felt it. They were scared that I would come back home fully tattooed and fully pierced. I've been going home a couple of times now, and I've tattooed from home. So they see, they experience, and every time I do one, and they're like, wow, you know what? Those are really beautiful tattoo, actually, because I use. They can see the language of or the aesthetic that is, part of us, and is part of where we're from.
And at some level, they connect with it.
Yeah, totally. In fact, they asked me to tattoo them.
Have you done that yet?
No, but when I'm going home, I will definitely do that. We're moving back to Italy in July, so yeah.
So Auckland's going to lose you.
Yes, I'm going back home and try to bring this practice back home. I have no idea what it's going to be like, but I know it's going to be beautiful, interesting, and all the emotions I can have, but I can't wait.
What is taking you back to Italy?
Many things, many things. New Zealand has been tough. Obviously, I became an artist and I became a mother, and has been challenging. It's just the beginning of my career, so it does take a while to get there. But also becoming a mother, I need help. I want to come back home. I miss my family. I miss my friends. I miss Italians. I haven't been home since I was 19. Now I'm 31. So it's time. I'm just too curious to know what is this gonna be like back home. I want to see my people wearing my markings,
Favorite memories of New Zealand?
Oh, it's hard.
I mean, I don't want to talk like you're never coming back, but you are leaving in July, so.
I mean, my favorite memory was me tattooing myself with a deer bone tool. with my teacher on my toe. It was the same day I did my first class of pottery. It was amazing, you know, the fact that they happened both at the same time, the same day. I've got quite a lot of memories. Like, it's an amazing country, and it really helped me finding myself. You know, it's so ironic that I come to the other side of the world to study my people, you know, or to connect back with my people, you know. But a lot of time that's what happened to a lot of us. You know, you have to go out of your home to learn more about your home and yourself.
Francesca Contaldo talking to me on this episode of Here Now. Each week, I bring you stories from across New Zealand, featuring people from all around the world. You can catch Here Now on all your favourite podcast platforms, as well as on RNZ National on Mondays at 1:45 p.m. I'm your host and producer, Kadambari Raghukumar. Thanks for listening.